Good evening, this is Primetime News, and as you can see on the screen, we are joined by a sign language interpreter, Brian De Cruz, via Zoom technology. Let's now cross over to the headlines tonight.
Cyclone Buravi makes landfall in the island. Rough seas, strong winds and heavy rainfall in several parts of the country. 9 prisoners killed in Mahara prison riot, positive for COVID-19. Relatives block entry roads, demanding details. President Secretary instructs Treasury Secretary to close Public Utility Commission.
The top story tonight, Cyclone Buravi has made landfall in the eastern coast of Sri Lanka. Chaturanga Hapuarach joins us from the Weather Centre.
Thank you, Muad. As you saw in the headline, Cyclone Buravi has made landfall. That is the latest update we have from the Met Department. However, the exact location as to where the cyclone has made landfall has not been confirmed as yet from the Met Department, because we received the information that this has made landfall only a short while ago. Initially, earlier on in the day, what was reported was that between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. this will make landfall, but around 6:30 to 7 p.m. what was said that it will take another 1 to 2 hours for an initial report to come out stating and confirming rather that this has made landfall, and that is the confirmation we have now. We can officially now say that Buravi has made landfall. However, it will take more time to confirm as to where this has entered Sri Lanka from, and thereafter the process that will follow, and especially the impact of this particular cyclone, especially to the northern province, the eastern province, the north central province, the central province and the western province. Now, from what we know at the moment, what has been reported thus far is that Buravi has made landfall, will make landfall from the northeastern province, and from the initial unconfirmed reports, that is what has happened, it has made landfall through the northeastern province inwards to the country, and the Met Department noted that it will move from this area towards the Mannar area and move out towards the south of India thereafter. However, this will take till morning tomorrow. This may not be the early morning hours, however it may also be the morning hours, especially leading up to about 9 a.m. in the morning. That is what the information that we have say at the moment. The Met Department issued their latest release a short while ago. It says cyclonic storms Buravi over the southwest Bay of Bengal lay centered near, and they have made the location has been stated. However, that location has now changed towards the island. The system is very likely to move west northwards and cross northeastern coast of Sri Lanka between Trincomalee and Point Pedro in this area close to Mullaitivu, and the cyclonic storm with wind speeds up to 80 to 90 kilometers, gusting up to 100 kilometers per hour, is very likely to move nearly westwards thereafter. Now, this has been the update with regard to how this transpired, how this impacted these particular areas, especially in this region. Our reporters were sent out to capture footage from these particular areas, and we are able to get them to you to see how this impacted the area residents of these particular provinces throughout the day today, and what it was like to them. We are going to initially speak to Senator Senanayaka, who is located in the Trincomalee area. They were there from this morning. They were trying to figure out what was happening and report it to us. Senator, what is the situation, the latest situation there now? What is it looking like?
Today has not been the best day for the city of Trincomalee. As you can see, since morning it has been raining heavily to this area. However, fortunately, by the afternoon, the showery conditions sort of reduced, but unfortunately it picked its pace back up again. By the evening, until now, it has been raining heavily non-stop. Now, other than that, we're experiencing strong winds as well, very strong winds, and the oceans could not get any rougher. Now, according to the authorities, more than 1,500 families have voluntarily evacuated from high-risk zones to safe locations, and about 250 families have already been evacuated to leave centers, and as you know, the city of Trincomalee along with the east coast is facing this cyclone in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we have gotten reports that the authorities have taken the necessary precautions to establish relief centers for people who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the authorities also warn the people of this area to be vigilant, remain indoors, stay in safe locations. Please stay in safe locations because the next 2 hours won't be the easiest to get by. With Samindra Ratnayak, I'm Senitha Senanayake reporting for News First.
That was Senitha. Now we draw your attention to some of the visuals captured, especially in the northern province, to get an understanding of what the situation was this afternoon, leading up to the information that we have received right now that Buravi has actually made landfall. This was during the evening hours in the northern province, where visuals were captured. This is what it looked like this evening, and northern province, north central province, eastern province, northwestern province, western province, central province and the Sabaragamuwa provinces have all been declared as areas that should be vigilant about the heavy showers and the heavy strong winds that is experienced in the area. Now, what will this cyclone do? What is its impact? We are going to have a look at the cyclone's impact and what it's actually going to do to Sri Lanka.
A cyclonic storm with a wind speed of 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 100 kilometers per hour, is very likely to move nearly westward thereafter and emerge into the Gulf of Mannar by tomorrow morning. The storm surge of about 1 meter height above the astronomical tide is likely to inundate low-lying coastal areas extending from Trincomalee to Kankasanture and Punanir to Puttalam. The Department of Meteorology said the storm will bring very strong gusty winds of 80 to 100 kilometers per hour in the northern, north central, eastern, northwestern, western, central, Sabaragamuwa both today and tomorrow. In the advisory for rainfall, the Met Department predicts intermittent showers at many places, with very high showers exceeding 200 millimeters in the northern, north central, eastern and northwestern provinces today. Heavy rainfall of over 100 millimeters is predicted over the other provinces, with 50 millimeter of rainfall in the southern province. Authorities have requested fishing and naval communities to refrain from setting out to sea.
Earlier on in the day, this is what the Director General at the Department of Meteorology, Atula Karunaayaka, had to say.
When the cyclone makes landfall in the island, we may witness the sea coming towards the land. Do not worry that it's a tsunami. After cyclone makes landfall, it is highly likely that it will move across the island. At such a point, rainy conditions in the north, east, northwest and north central provinces will enhance. Wind speeds may exceed 90 kilometers per hour. We urge the public to refrain from using electronic equipment and to stay indoors.
එලිමහනේ රැඳෙන්න එපා මේ වැසි තියෙන වෙලාවේ ඊළඟට විද්‍යුත් උපාංග පේන වලින් ගලවලා ඉවත් කරන්න ලෝහමය ද්‍රව්‍ය අඩංගු භාණ්ඩ වලින් වැඩ කටයුතු වල නියැලෙන්න එපා කියලා අපි ජනතාවට මතක්.
Especially with the cyclone making landfall now, the attention is now on how prepared are we with regard to facing the impact of Cyclone Buravi. Now, we spoke to the Director General of the Disaster Management Centre, Major General Sudanta Ranasinghe, about this, and this is what he had to say.
So we have been doing our preparation from last week of November. We had done our preparation for northeastern monsoon. Because of that, it was preparation for Buravi did not become very difficult for us. We have already started evacuation of people. Safety centers have been earmarked. People have been already moved into safety centers. I know Trincomalee, we just heard over 1,600 people have been moved, and similarly Mullaitivu, Mannar, Batikolo. So my advice for people is, it's just one night. Be safe, take care of yourself, stay in your safety center, don't move around to watch things, don't move around to see what's happening. We will make sure that whatever losses happen on the cyclone will be paid for. The government of Sri Lanka will look after that.
Now, that being the case with the DMC and the preparations that have been made with regard to the disaster management in the country, we are going to draw your attention to the western province as well, where we are all here. We are looking at how this will impact the western province as well. But before we go there, let's listen to the Defence Secretary and also the Army Commander. This is what both of them had to say.
අවශ්‍ය සියලුම කටයුතු ආපදා කළමන කරන
The Disaster Management Centre and the respective district secretariats are fully prepared to face any disaster situation that may arise. The Ministry of Defence has issued instructions to the Sri Lanka Army commanding officers of the northeastern and Wanni areas to engage with district secretariats, deputy secretaries and all the relevant government officers to prevent any damage to the people in the event of a disaster. The Disaster Management Centre is continuously in contact with the district secretariats, Sri Lanka Army commanding officers, senior police officers and health authorities to minimize the damages from Cyclone Buravi and provide relief to anyone affected immediately.
අවශ්‍ය දේ ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා.
ඉතින් මේ වන විට විශේෂයෙන්ම ආරක්ෂක සේනා අධ්‍යාපතිතුමා යටතේ මේ සඳහා විශේෂයෙන්ම
This matter was discussed with the district secretary this morning with the commanding officer of Vanniya. The tri-forces together with the district secretaries of the security forces are prepared to protect the general public and prevent any damages to the people in the event of a disaster.
ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව පොලිසිය ප්‍රමුඛ ආරක්ෂක හමුදාවන් රජයේ සම්බන්ධ දිසාපතිවරුන් සමග සමගිව එකතු වෙලා අපි මේ දේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරනවා.
With Cyclone Buravi making landfall from the northeastern province, the north and the east seem to be facing the brunt of the storm at the moment, and throughout the day there have been various actions carried out in these two provinces and as well as the north central province with regard to disaster preparedness in these two areas. But we'll have a look at the situation in the north and the east now. Intermittent rainfall was experienced from morning in the north and the east owing to the cyclonic condition. Our correspondents reported that the sea area in the east coast was rough. A total of 75,000 people are currently being evacuated to safer locations as the eastern province braces the cyclone Buravi. According to the Trincomalee district secretary, these people will be evacuated to 237 relief centres.
මේ වන විට ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කොට්ටාස 11ක කඳවුරු 237ක්.
We have set up 237 temporary shelters across 11 divisional secretariats. We can accommodate 21,280 families and approximately 70,000 people at these facilities. We were informed that 279 families had arrived at these shelters by 5 p.m. We request families living in vulnerable areas to move towards these shelters to assist our operations. The tri-forces, police, provincial councils and other state officials have made arrangements to provide the necessary facilities.
සහාය අරගෙන රජයේ අනෙක් ආයතන වල සහාය අරගෙන දකුණු පළාත් සභාවේ සහාය අරගෙන අපි සූදානම් කරලා තිනවා.
Meanwhile, people living in the Trincomalee coastal line were seen taking steps to save their houses from the cyclone. Fishermen in the Tondanara Akkara areas did not engage in fishing activities as strong winds were experienced. Our correspondent said a fisherman had gone missing in the Pannale area in Jaffna last night. Minor floods were reported in several parts of the Jaffna district owing to the intermittent rainfall experienced in the area. Our correspondent said people belonging to 25 families were directed to safer locations.
The operations centre at the district secretariat is active 24 hours. Officers of the Sri Lanka Army, Navy, Police and the Disaster Management Centre are here. We have been requesting the fishing communities to refrain from setting out to sea from the 30th of last month. We urge them to remain vigilant until the situation returns to normalcy.
Uprooted trees owing to strong winds were witnessed in the Uniyamkulam, Konaviland area and other areas in the Kilinochchi district. Our correspondent said a group of people who have been evacuated from the homes are seeking shelter at the Konaville Community Hall. Mullaitivu District Disaster Management Centre said plans are afoot to evacuate 135 families living in the coastal area of Mohottu Arama. Trees fell on the Mullaitivu, Mullivaikal and Puliyankulam main roads, disrupting vehicular movement along the routes. Our correspondent said heavy rainfall was experienced in the Mana district as well.
We deployed around 5 vehicles in the morning to find out how to avoid risky areas in the district. We have informed those living in temporary shelters to move to safer locations via the Grama Seva officers. We have also informed those living close to trees on the verge to collapse to move to safer locations. We have deployed police teams in several parts as well. We have informed Grama Seva officers to distribute food to those with shortcomings. We have also informed the Northern Province Governor to close down schools in the Vavuniya district tomorrow and the day after.
That being the situation in the north and the eastern province, now let me draw your attention to the western province and what's going to happen around the western province as a result of the Buravi cyclone entering the island. Now, from the Met Department, the latest information reveals that there will be very strong gusty winds of between 80 kilometers per hour to 100 kilometers per hour affecting the western province at times, and very strong gusty winds of 60 kilometers to 70 kilometers tomorrow, that is the 3rd of December, and strong and gusty winds leading up to the 4th of December. However, there will be rainfall experienced in the western province throughout the day today and tomorrow as well. That is what the Met Department has announced thus far. To get an understanding of the current situation in Colombo, we sent out our friend David Paldano to inspect the situation and report to us. David is here to bring us the latest. David?
Now I'm here in Colombo 2 in Braybrook Place, where the winds here is actually increasing as we speak right now. Now, just a while ago, it was raining heavily here, in fact, to the point where some parts of the streets here were actually inundated to the point where you couldn't even walk through. It was flooded to that much of an amount. Now, it should be noted that Cyclone Burali is about to make landfall in the eastern part of Sri Lanka, bringing it even more stronger winds, which the Met Department says is going to range between 80 kilometers per hour to 100 kilometers per hour and bring rain of up to 200 millimeters in Sri Lanka as well. Now, as a result of this cyclonic storm, the Met Department has warned fishermen to avoid going out to sea in order to perform their daily fishing activities. Now, stay tuned with News First as we bring you the very latest updates regarding the cyclonic storm that is passing through Sri Lanka. Stay safe and stay at home and practice all the guidelines that has been issued by the Met Department in order to minimize the damage caused to yourself and to your surrounding areas. For the News First team, I'm David Paldano.
Thank you, David, for that update. Now, we will keep you updated throughout the night in terms of what's happening with this cyclone situation and how it will impact the country. We will keep you updated on our social media platforms and on our website www.newsfirst.lk, and you can also tune in to our radio stations and keep an eye out in terms of what is happening around you with regard to the impacts that are caused by Cyclone Buravi entering the island and how it will change the weather around you. We urge you to stay safe tonight and also monitor the situation so that you can be safe throughout the day tomorrow as well. And for that, we are ready to help you by bringing you the latest information. It's back to Muad, but before that, let's cross over to a quick commercial break. Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
Welcome back to the news. PCR tests carried out on 9 inmates who died in the unrest at the Mahara prison have shown positive results for COVID-19. The director of the Colombo North Teaching Hospital said that PCR tests were carried out on 2 other inmates who died in the incident.
Families and relatives of inmates gathered outside the Mahara prison for the third day today after unrest broke out at the premises on Monday. They requested officials to inform them of the names of inmates who were injured or had died in the incident. The superintendent clarified the situation to the families of the inmates. I have been informed that arrangements will be made for families to contact the inmates by telephone. I said I would provide the list of inmates who were injured in the unrest. I explained the true situation to them. There is nothing to hide. This was an unfortunate incident that arose spontaneously. Meanwhile, a group of parliamentarians representing the opposition, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, visited the prison today.
ප්‍රෙෂර් එක වෙන්නේ ඔබතුමාලට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් ටික ලැබිලා නැති හින්දානේ. නෑ අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් ටික නෙමෙයි අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක ප්‍රෙෂර් එකක් වෙන්න බෑ. ප්‍රෙෂර් එකක් තියෙන ඉඳපඩ. ඒක තමයි ඒක. ඒක තමයි ඒක ඔබතුමාලා ආන්දෝත් එහෙම කරන්නේ. ඒක තමයි. අපි මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලා ඔබතුමා පාරක් ඔය කතාව කිව්වා. අපි බොහොම සද්භාවයෙන් කතා කරපුවා ඔබතුමා තුන් හතර පාරක් ආණ්ඩුව හොඳයි ඔබතුමාලත් එක්ක අතරේ ඒක අපිට අදාළ.
The group of parliamentarians met with the relatives of the inmates after inspecting the area.
The main reason why we came here is because of the comment made by a minister in parliament about the use of a pill that resulted in this unrest. This didn't happen because of any pill. This occurred due to the pressure created among these inmates with the fear of infecting COVID-19. Even Shania Besekra got infected with COVID-19 from this place. Now there is a clear suspicion as to whether all of these were pre-planned.
If prisoners are being killed in jails, the government must bear responsibility for that. Prisons fall under the purview of the government. This incident has violated the fundamental rights of prisoners and their relatives. A team of officials, including State Minister of Prison Management and Prisoners Rehabilitation Lohan Ratwatta and Prisons Commissioner General Tusharo Puldenia, visited the Mahara prison today. These were the views they expressed to the media upon inspecting the damages caused to the prison.
The inmates are safe inside the prison. They have sufficient food and water along with accommodation and sanitary facilities. We wish to make this clear to the families of the prisoners. We have identified 25 prisoners who were directly behind the unrest. We have also identified 125 other inmates involved in this incident. We will file charges against them for destroying public property and violating the prison's ordinance. After unnecessarily consuming drugs from a medical storage facility, they cannot cite hallucination as a cause of their unconduct. They destroyed the storage facilities and set buildings on fire. Therefore, they will not be pardoned.
Some entities are claiming that excessive force was used on the prisoners as it caused injuries and deaths. If 189 inmates who tested positive for the virus had broken out of the prison and mingled with the community, you can assume the damage it would have caused. The 189 inmates who had contracted the infection were moved to another facility for treatment. Remand prisoners and around 180 inmates who were granted bail were subjected to PCR tests and then allowed to return to their homes or were transferred to different facilities. But on Monday, the inmates had begun acting violently after consuming tablets. I delayed the deployment of prison and police officers until yesterday morning when the unrest broke out at the prison under complete darkness. If the police and prison officers were allowed to go into the prison that night, their lives would have been in danger. The number of injuries would have been higher as well. These officers were deployed to the prison at 1:30 p.m. yesterday. They brought the situation under control in 10 minutes and restored the cells that were damaged in the melee. Pharmaceutical drugs. There is no problem now. Normalcy has been restored at the prison.
ඒ සියල්ලම අයි කළා නැවත සම්පූර්ණ තත්ත්වය ස්ථාපනය කරගත්තා. දැනට කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. බන්ධනාගාරය සම්පූර්ණ සාමකාමී.
The State Minister of Prison Management and Prisoners Rehabilitation has released footage of inmates behaving in an unruly manner at the Mahara prison, at which unrest broke out earlier this week.
Views about the Mahara prison unrest were expressed in Parliament today.
මේ වන විට අපිට දැනගන්නට ලැබිලා තිබෙනවා බන්ධනාගාර රෝහලේ නියෝජ්‍ය අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයා මේ කොවිඩ් රෙගුලාසි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම උල්ලංඝනය කරමින්.
We have learned that the assistant director of the prison hospital had detained 120 prison inmates at the Mahara prison, violating COVID-19 regulations and disregarding the opposition of the doctors at the prison hospital. It was this decision that had led to the creation of a COVID-19 cluster at the prison and had resulted in the inmates protesting, demanding for PCR tests to be carried out. This entire situation was what led to the unrest at the prison. I am not pointing fingers at anyone, but who violated the COVID-19 regulations? A majority of prisoners at the prison are remanded prisoners who are looking forward to be bailed out. The government's policy should be to follow the rule of law. The ruling party spoke about a reverse tablet. Such statements are misleading. Wrongdoers should be punished. However, they cannot be punished or murdered violating the proceedings of the judicial system.
නමුත් උසාවි ක්‍රමවේදයට පටහැනිව මිනිමරණ එක රටේ නීතිය නෙවෙයි.
තාම ආණ්ඩුවට බැරුකම මේ මැරිච් එක්කලා කවුද කියලා කියන්නේ? ආණ්ඩුව ෆේල් කියන්නේ ඒකයි.
The government is yet to announce the names of those who fell victim to the unrest. This is why we say the government has failed. The names of the victims should be disclosed to the public immediately. Vimal Veeravansa said those who had caused the unrest had consumed the reverse tablet. This might be true, as Veeravansa is the know-it-all when it comes to tablets. Within the parliament chambers, there is no one as knowledgeable as he is about tablets. Those who consumed the reverse tablet are the ones belonging in parliament. The unrest at the Mahara prison is clearly a conspiracy. It is not an international conspiracy. Family members and relatives of the inmates at the Mahara prison are worried and want to know whether their loved ones are alive. The government, on the other hand, is yet to disclose the names of those who were killed. Where are the post-mortem reports of the deceased?
අනිත් එක අපිට බරපතල සැකයක් තියෙනවා. කොහොම මේ මරණ පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තා? මොකද 11 දෙනාගෙන් 10 දෙනෙක් කොරෝනා නිසා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද? ඊට පස්සේ ගිහිලා පුච්චලා දානවා.
We are concerned about the fact that 10 of the 11 deceased have tested positive for the virus. If they have tested positive, it means that their remains will be cremated and not be subjected to post-mortem investigations. This is a conspiracy. We urge the government to disclose the post-mortem reports of the victims.
මරණ පරීක්ෂණ අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේක බහ කුමන්ත්‍රණයක් තමයි විරෝධ මහත්තයා කියපු විදිහට. ඒ නිසා පැහැදිලිවම අපි රටේට කියනවා මරුණු සියලු දෙනාගේම මරණ පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තා ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න.
The Gampaha High Court today lifted the overseas travel ban imposed on former Minister Basil Rajapaksa over the unlawful acquisition of assets including a luxury mansion in Malwana.
The travel ban had been imposed by the court on former Minister Basil Rajapaksa in a case filed against the alleged misuse of state funds to purchase a plot of land in Malwana for the construction of a luxury mansion and a swimming pool. Basil Rajapaksa and Thirukumar Nadesan were named as respondents to the case that had been filed by the Attorney General. During today's hearing, Defence Lawyer President's Counsel DAP Veeraratna filed a motion in court seeking to lift the travel ban, citing that his client has to travel overseas for official purposes in his capacity as the head of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Eradication. Accordingly, High Court Judge Nimal Ranavira had lifted the travel ban on the condition that the accused appears in court on the 12th of March 2021.
Up next is Action TV.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who also serves as Finance Minister, revealed the government's plan relating to the electricity sector while presenting the budget in Parliament on the 17th of November. Since no power plant has been added to the national grid during the last 5 years, the continuous supply of electricity in 2021 and 2022 is at risk. To mitigate the risk, it is planned to augment the capacity of the Lakvijaya coal-fired power plant by 300 megawatts and to establish 2 natural gas power plants with a generation capacity of 600 megawatts. It is also planned to convert the Kerawalapitiya power plant as a natural gas power plant and to establish additional natural gas power plants with private ownership. Since the existing diesel power plants have been in operation for over 20 years, it is proposed to amend the related agreements to reduce expenditure amounting to over Rs 15 billion that is incurred in this regard. I also propose to amend the Public Utilities Commission Act and Ceylon Electricity Board Act to allow the rapid implementation of projects. The statements expressed by the Prime Minister have been clearly stated in the transcript of his speech as well. In his budget speech, the Prime Minister signalled the government's intentions to amend the Public Utilities Commission Act and the Ceylon Electricity Board Act and not to shut down neither one of the institutions. Against this backdrop, the President's Secretary has addressed a letter to the Treasury Secretary dated yesterday, drawing attention towards the budget proposals referring to the PUCSL and the CEB. In his letter, the Secretary to the President had instructed the Treasury Secretary to take the necessary procedural steps to close down the Public Utilities Commission. The directive had been issued although the budget proposal does not indicate a move of this nature. It is also well understood that the amendment of an Institutions Act does not imply the closure of the body. Accordingly, questions were raised in Parliament today regarding the latest directive issued by the President's Secretary.
ගරු සභාපතිතුමා මේ හදිසියේ මට ලැබිච්ච ලියකියවිල්ල මම මෙතනට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න සූදානම් වෙනවා නාගරික සංවර්ධන
කෙටියෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න කාලේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා
ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වයි කියලා මහජන උපයෝගී
I have received a message on WhatsApp showing that the President has advised the closure of the Public Utilities Commission. This cannot happen. How can they close down the Public Utilities Commission that serves as the regulatory body for the power sector? I wish to question the authenticity of this letter.
නියාමනය කරන්නේ මේ ආයතනයනේ. මට දැනගන්න කැමතියි මේක දූෂමාන ආරංචියක්ද මේක බොරුවක්ද?
Apart from the instructions issued to the Treasury Secretary to close down the Public Utilities Commission, the other matters mentioned in the letter give rise to several technical problems. Action TV will reveal more details on this matter tomorrow.
Getting back to matters in Parliament, Leader of the Opposition Sajith Premadasa questioned today of the revelations made by international credit rating agencies that state Sri Lanka's debt repayment capacity has weakened.
ජාත්‍යන්තර ණය ශ්‍රේණිගත කිරීමේ ප්‍රධානතම ආයතන තුනෙන් එකක් වන Fitch ණය ශ්‍රේණිගත කිරීමේ ආයතනය.
The Fitch Credit Rating Agency, one of the top 3 international credit rating agencies in the world, has made forecasts for Sri Lanka's long-term foreign exchange credit from B- to CCC. Last September, Moody's also downgraded Sri Lanka's credit rating. If the government does not take credible action, they will not be able to prevent Sri Lanka from being downgraded by Standard & Poor, which is another lending institution. In such a situation, we will face a similar crisis as Argentina, where there was a sharp rise in interest rates that will inevitably lead to a devaluation of the rupee and a decline in living standards. In addition, the country's foreign exchange earnings are likely to be further blocked or restricted. Sri Lanka will have to repay a loan of $23 billion between 2020 and 2025. Will the government present its plans for this loan to this House? How much of FDIs does the government expect for the next 5 years? Accordingly, what is the program that will be implemented by the government to attract foreign investors to the country?
ඒ අනුව විදේශ ආයෝජකයින් මෙරටට ගෙන්වා ගැනීමට රජය විසින් කරනු ලබන වැඩපිළිවෙල කුමක්ද?
ආර්ථිකය තුළ හටගෙන ඇති දුර්වලතා සඳහා විදේශ ණය ගැනීම සහ ව්‍යාපෘති මූල්‍යකරණ විධිමත් කිරීම මගින් විසඳුම් ලබා දීමට අපි දැන් අපේක්ෂා කරනවා.
We hope to address the weaknesses in the economy by streamlining foreign borrowing and project lending. We hope to stabilize the rupee, maintain low interest rates, support entrepreneurs and take business-friendly measures to increase revenue collection through high economic growth and good tax administration and make effective FDI plans. Honorable Speaker, we look forward to attracting unprecedented FDI inflows in the coming year and the years following it as well. The 2021 budget has shown that the Colombo Port City and the Hambantota Industrial Zone budget as massive development projects. Investors are already pouring into the port city and other manufacturing and service industries. In addition, we received multilateral support for policy-based loans. We are holding discussions with friendly nation banks to increase reserves in the country. In this context, statements made by external forces, political institutions, NGOs and partisan agencies that are labelled as independent have not been able to divert the attention of investors who trust the Sri Lankan economy. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to express these views. I will end my few words.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ආර්ථිකය කෙරෙහි විශ්වාසය තබා ඇති ආයෝජකයන්ගේ අවධානය වෙනස් අතකට යොමු කරන්නට හැකි වෙන්නේ නැති බවත් මා ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් ප්‍රශ්නය මගින් අසා මේ සියලුම කරුණු මට ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමට අවස්ථාව ලබා දීම ගැන ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙමින් මගේ වචන ස්වල්පය අවසන් කරනවා.
Welcome back to the news. In news from the world, the UK has become the first country in the world to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine for widespread use. A British regulator, the MHRA, says the jab, which offers up to 95% protection against COVID-19 illness, is safe for rollout next week.
Immunization could start within days for those who need it the most, such as elderly and vulnerable patients. The UK has already ordered 40 million doses, enough to vaccinate 20 million people, as 2 shots of the jab are needed per person to gain immunity. Health Secretary Matt Hancock has set out how the vaccine will be rolled out around the country. Britain will start vaccinating ordinary people early next week after it gets 800,000 doses from Pfizer's manufacturing centre in Belgium. The speed of the rollout depends on how fast Pfizer can manufacture and deliver the vaccine. It is the fastest ever vaccine to go from concept to reality, taking only 10 months, following the same development steps that normally span a decade. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted, quote, "It's the protection of the vaccine that will ultimately allow us to reclaim our lives and get the economy moving again," end quote.
India has not joined other members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in backing China's Belt and Road Initiative.
BRI, or the One Belt, One Road initiative, President Xi Jinping's flagship program for trade and connectivity, was backed by Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan in a joint communique issued at the end of the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting hosted by India. The 19th meeting of the Council of Heads of Governments of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, hereinafter referred to as SCO or organization, was held in a video conference format recently. The Council of Heads of Government in SCO's second highest body and is responsible for handling the trade and economic agenda. This was the first time India hosted a meeting of the body since it was admitted into the 8-member grouping in 2017. A special media briefing was convened following the 19th SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting.
Since 3 of the prominent members of SCO, India, Pakistan and China, are having strained relations, do you think SCO can function efficiently and serve its purpose?
Look, SCO was created primarily as a regional organization to promote peace and security, to tackle the challenges of terrorism, extremism and separatism, and to promote trade and cooperation and of course cultural partnerships among the SCO member countries. Article 2 of the SCO Charter specifically prohibits bilateral issues from being raised in SCO forums, because we all have seen from our previous experience that raising of bilateral issues only serves to vitiate the atmosphere and holds up concrete cooperation in a whole host of areas. We, as far as we are concerned, we have scrupulously adhered to this provision in the SCO Charter. We do not raise bilateral issues in SCO forums, and we expect other countries to also do the same.
And that's a wrap of the news from all of us here at the Newsfirst desk. Good night, take care and stay safe.